Welcome to the first episode of the Be the Good podcast. My name is Lewis and I'm your host. Thank you so much for tuning in. It means a lot to me. And this is my first episode. So I'm excited to have you here. If you're new to my content, basically I tell positive stories on social media. I recite amazing quotes, all things to add to your day and add light and sunshine and empower you and just essentially make you feel good. And if you feel good, you do good and you add more energy like that into the world. So that's basically how I got my start. And be the good. So why be the good? So most people think be the good that you want to see in the world. But more importantly, I want you to be the good to yourself. Because if you don't have that, if you don't feel a certain way about yourself, then it's going to be kind of hard for you to be the good to others. So I'm going to start by sharing one of my favorite quotes. And the quote goes, fill your own cup and let the world benefit from your overflow. And man, I love that. I love that so much. And that's definitely something I try to implement in my own life. So let's get right into story time. So, my first story that I have for you today, and I have some good ones. This first one is about an Uber driver from Atlanta. Her name is Latanya. And one night she picks up a guy named Kevin. He just came from an Atlanta United game, which is their soccer team, and they have a long drive ahead of them. During their drive, they get to know each other a little bit. And they're telling each other intimate details about their lives, and they really get into a good conversation. She tells Kevin that she's a single mom, she's struggling to make ends meet, and she started driving Uber to supplement her income. And she also has issues paying some of her bills. She also told him that she's thinking about going back to school because she previously was enrolled but had to drop out due to financial reasons. Kevin tells her he's recently divorced, the divorce was hard on him, and he's healing from that as well. So they really get into it. So they get to the destination and they kind of exchange pleasantries. And he says to her, hey, if you ever think about going back to school, let me know. And I hope you do. I think that would be an amazing thing for you in your future. And she says, thank you. So he gets out of the car and she's just kind of hanging around waiting for her next pickup. So she pulls off and then she gets a notification on the app. The ride is complete. So whenever the ride is complete, it will show what the tip was and all that stuff. So she looks on the app and sees that Kevin left her a $250 tip with a note that says, use this money to pay for a bill this month. Now, she is just over the moon. She can't believe this. She has so much gratitude and she just has an amazing rest of her day. So a few months later, she is inspired by the conversation that she had with Kevin. And she says, you know what? I think I am going to go back to school. So she logs into her account at Georgia State University to see what she owes, because the thing that prevented her from going back previously, the fact that she owed thousands of dollars to the school. So she logs into her account to see what she owes so she can clear her balance up and re-enroll. So she's looking at her account and something very unusual pops up to her. She sees that she has a zero balance and she's confused at this point. It's been a while since she logged in, but she knows that she owed this money and she can't figure out why it says zero. So she calls the school and explains the situation and she's trying to figure it out. Well, the school told her that someone anonymously called in and cleared up her entire student debt. And again, it was a couple $1,000. Come to find out, it was Kevin, the guy that she gave a ride to. He anonymously called the school, cleared up her student debt, and she could not believe it. So she re-enrolls, she attends school, she gets her bachelor's degree, she tracks Kevin down and invites him to the graduation, and they still have an amazing friendship to this day. And this story was just so incredible to me. Man, just think these two people didn't know each other, yet they bonded on this hour Uber ride and shared so many intimate parts of their lives and just turned into a lifelong bond and turned into her going back to get her education. And he was just so generous to do that. So that was dope to me. I love everything about that story. I love when I see people connect energetically, especially when they don't know each other and they just do things like this. And to know that there's people like Kevin out there really gives people hope. And that's the reason why I do what I do, because social media can be such a toxic place. Every time you scroll, all you see is bad headlines and horror stories and people doing this to each other and people doing that to each other. And it really gives you a dark and grim look on life in the world that we live in. So when you see those things and you go out into your day to day, what are you looking for? You're looking for the negative, as opposed to hearing a story like this or seeing something good online. What do you start to look for? You start to look for the good. So that's the main reason why I do what I do. So I want to share another quote with you. This one's one of my favorites as well. And again, it's all about feeling good about yourself and developing yourself and your self esteem and the way you see the person that you look at in the mirror. The quote goes like this: one does not walk into the forest and accuse the trees of being off center, nor do they visit the shore and call the waves imperfect. So why do we look at ourselves this way? Man, why do we look at ourselves this way? Yeah, that quote hits me. It hits me every time that I read it. All right, so my second story of the episode, it comes from Douglasville, Georgia. And a guy named Casey walks into a gas station in Douglasville to get something to drink. So he goes to the fridge, he gets his drink, and he walks up to the register to pay for it. The cashier rings it up, tells him the total, and Casey says, all right, reaches into his pocket, but then he quickly realizes that he does not have his wallet. So at this point, he's not really bothered. He says, you know what? I can't buy this right now. My bad. I'll be back to get my drink. There's a guy standing behind him that witnessed this whole thing, and he steps up with his card and says, you know what? I got it. Don't even worry about it. And Casey says, nah, you don't have to do that. It's just a drink. No big deal, but I do appreciate it. The guy says, no, I insist. I want to buy you this drink. So he buys him the drink, and then Casey sparks up a conversation with the guy, and his name is Mario. He gets to know Mario, comes to find out Mario has fallen on hard times. Mario has recently moved out of an apartment that was barely livable. Him and his family are now living in a hotel that is also barely livable. And he's just going through it right now. So Casey is moved by this because he's thinking, wow, this guy doesn't have a lot and he's going through some stuff, but yet he still had enough kindness in his heart to reach into his pocket and buy my drink. So Casey goes home, makes a post about it on social media saying, hey, this is what happened to me today. I met this amazing guy named Mario, and this is what he did for me. There has to be some way I can help him out. So he starts a GoFundMe. Now he has a goal of maybe $500 to $1,000. He thinks that's pretty doable, but he's not sure. So he starts the GoFundMe. He goes to bed, wakes up the next day to $30,000 in donations for Mario and his family. So he can't believe it. He's overcome with emotion. So he uses social media to track Mario down. He says, hey, can we meet up? I have something for you. They meet up and he presents him with $30,000 of the donations that came through from the GoFundMe. Now, keep in mind, this is absolutely life-changing for Mario, all because of this simple gesture of buying this man's drink. And that's another thing that I like to point out. It's always people that have the least that are the most generous and willing to give to others. Man, I can't imagine going through something like that and being in that situation with my family, but still having the heart to just say, hey, you know what? It's all good. I got you. And that was a dope story to me. It was truly life changing, but he didn't give for that reason. He just truly gave out of the kindness of his heart. And again, just knowing that there are amazing people out there man, that really does something for me. So I get a lot of questions about the books that I read, and I'm going to do other episodes where I kind of go through, share my books, and kind of give my reflection on them. But there's a quote that I came across the other day regarding that, regarding personal development and reading. And it really stood out to me and it really meant a lot to me. So I want to share that with you. And the quote says, there is no self development without self awareness. You can read as many books as you like, but if you're unable to read yourself, you'll never learn a thing. And that quote really stood out to me because I was someone, like I said, would just go from book to book to book, thinking that the next book is going to have the answer that I need, or I just need to read this one and this one will make the change. But it wasn't until I started to self reflect, it wasn't until I started to pay attention to my actions, and it wasn't until I started to implement immediately the things that I read from a book before I moved on to another one. So that's just something to keep in mind for all the avid readers out there, especially in the personal development space. So that quote really helped me out a lot. So I just wanted to share that. So I have one final story that I want to share with you today. And this one, it really touched me. So this guy goes to this diner. He rides his bike up there because that's his only means of transportation. He parks his bike out front, goes inside, orders his food. And the whole time that he's eating, he has eyes on his bike. He's eating his meal and then he kind of gets lost in the meal and he takes his eyes off the bike for a few seconds. And then when he looks up, he realizes that his bike is gone. So he does not have a bike lock, and there was no way, there was no protection or anything like that. And like I said, this is his only means of transportation. So he gets up, he goes outside, he looks around, he doesn't see his bike, he doesn't see anyone riding it. Someone swooped in at the perfect time and stole his bike. So he comes back in, he sits back at the table, and he's a little somber. He's a little sad, but he does realize he didn't have a lock, so it's kind of on him. So he tries to finish his meal, but again, it's just not the same because of what happened. So there was another gentleman sitting in a booth across from him who witnessed the whole thing. As soon as he saw the guy get up to go look for his missing bike, this guy got up as well. In the middle of his meal, he left the restaurant, went and bought the guy a brand new bike and rolled it back into the restaurant. So as the guy who lost his bike is sitting there kind of processing everything, all of a sudden somebody rolls up, taps him on the shoulder, and he's standing there with a brand new bike for him. Now this guy can't believe it. Again, they don't know each other. He wasn't expecting this. And who would expect something like this to take place at a diner from a random person? Somebody else was inside and witnessed this whole thing and took some photos of the guy giving him the bike and his response. And it was just a beautiful sight. And the guy that bought the bike, he just finished his meal and left the restaurant. Knowing that these people are out there highlighting their stories so that it inspires others. And even if you don't have the resources to spend money to help someone, you don't have to do that. You can give someone your time. You can give someone a compliment. You can hold the door for someone. You can buy someone's coffee. It doesn't have to be a significant amount of money, but just paying attention to more opportunities to be kind to people. And that's how you make the world a better place, in my opinion. And as I wrap up this episode, it has truly been a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining me on my first pod. And I'm going to try to do these at least once a week. So if you're new to the channel, please hit that sub button and share this with someone who could use a little sunshine in their day. And I'm going to leave you with another quote that I try to live by. And it's something that I recently discovered. It's a quote about the camera theory. And the quote goes like this: just like a camera, just focus on what's important, capture the good times, develop from the negatives, and if things don't work out, just take another shot. Man, I love that. That's such a dope quote to me. Thank you for joining me on the first episode of the Be the Good podcast. Again, my name is Lewis. I am your host. Until I see you next time, try your hardest to be as kind as you can to everyone that you come in contact with. But before that, every day you wake up and before you go to bed, take inventory of how kind you were to yourself. I'll catch you next time. Peace.